All right, Alan, welcome back. Let's dive into this one. I've got the top 3 mistakes people make when buying home insurance. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's do it. One of the first mistakes that we often see, and it's super easy to do because we get so focused on market values, is mistaking market value for replacement cost.
Yeah, that's a great point, and it's something we hear a lot. Hey, I just bought my house for 400 grand, and this is large Victorian. It's going to take a lot more than that to rebuild. So, from an insurance perspective, yes, we value the deal you might have got on that property and so forth. We are not as focused on your real estate market value as we are what will it take for a contractor to show up and rebuild that property for you. So we're always looking at what is that cost or cost new build going to take, because that's at the end of the day what we're insuring you for. Your land's still going to be there, but we've got to clear that site up, and then we've got to pay someone to rebuild it. So that at the end of the day is what we're really interested in, and that's where we'll have those conversations like, hey, you've got a 5,000 square foot 19th century Victorian, do you want that back? And if you do, here's what we're going to need to insure it at. If you want to come back with modern materials and modern finishes, which may not be as ornate, we might be able to do something a little differently and rate it differently. But that's, like you said, a very common mistake people make is, well, I only spent 300 or 400 grand on it. We can also flip that to the other side, which is if you're buying a property on Lakeshore, you're going to pay for that lakefront frontage. So you might have a 1,000 square foot home, but you might have spent a lot of money on that because of the lake and the view and stuff. We're not going to replace the view at the time of loss, or we're just replacing that 1,000 square foot structure. So we may not have to have as much coverage, and that can always be a point of discussion too. It's like, hey, I spent all this money on this property, but you're telling me I only need 300 grand to rebuild the house, and you're like, yeah, it's still $300 a square foot. We're still in a good spot. So
yeah, like you said, what we care about, what insurance companies care about, is making sure that we've got enough money available to rebuild that home in the event that it has a, God forbid, total loss like a fire or something like that. And you had made a great point between the Victorians and a lakeshore frontage camp or even something like that. There's big differences, and I do think one of the keys that people might not always understand is, the company is only on the hook to replace what's there, and so if you have if you over insure your house, for 500 grand, it's only 200 grand to put it back. They're only responsible for the 200. So there's no sense in overpaying premium for, coverage that you might not see. You want to make sure you got the right coverage dialed in. And certainly the difference between replacement cost and market value is something that we have every day. And I know our agents on the front line, when people call, the office for home insurance quotes, is something they talk about a lot as well. The next item on my list is ignoring special limits. So things like jewelry and collectibles.
yeah, that's a mistake we see a lot. People just assume that things are covered. And when you read the fine print on a policy, you will see that theft of jewelry, money, things like that are restricted or have lower dollar amounts. So it's important that we understand that, yes, you may have a jewelry box full of expensive jewelry. We should schedule those individually or put some additional rider in place for that. Same thing with gun collections. Mentioned money before. Rugs, if you got high-end rugs, there's a lot of different little intricate items, like camera equipment, those type of things that we need to make sure that we're properly rating for on the policy, because there are limits built in for theft of those type of items. Certainly fire is a different story, but you start getting into theft and those type of things, you can be limited pretty fast.
Yeah, one of the things that we schedule, probably most frequently is like an engagement ring. Typically a jewelry limit, if depending on your policy, it always varies. It could commonly be like $5,000, and a lot of people have, an engagement ring that's more than that. And so if they want to make sure they got the right amount of coverage for that, you have to schedule it on the policy, and you pick up some different coverages by doing that as well. But it's something you got to look and check and understand your sublimits that are included on your home insurance policy. The next item, not updating your policy after major renovations or updates to your house. This is something, we unfortunately see a lot. We don't know if somebody has put an addition on their home or redone their kitchen or, put a new deck on, whatever it might be.
Again, anytime you're improving the property, you're taking it from kind of where it was to where it is now. We need to know about that. It's a good thing to bring up to us. We do try to schedule regular reviews of clients to flush out these items, homes, but the same
Yeah.
minute, please pick up the phone, call us, shoot us an email, say, hey, I just put on another 500 square feet, or I put on $1,000 square foot or 1,000 square foot addition. Let us rate for that and make sure you have the right amount of coverage for that.
Finished your basement, something like
yeah,
that.
finish your basement, put solar panels on the roof. I could go on and on. So same thing, put on a large shed. That might exceed our other structure coverage that we have in the base policy. So a lot of different things that we need to look at with regard to that stuff. But that's a good starting point, is to think about those items and give us a call so that we can make sure we got you properly covered.
Well, that was cover our 3 mistakes that people have to make. If you have concerns about your policy, or you just want to make sure that you are carrying the right coverage for your home, don't hesitate to reach out to us at Kinney Insurance.